So I hope y'all are having a really good day today, and if not, maybe this will cheer you up. I'm calling this edition of Speakdom, I'm going to be calling it You Only Need Yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me first give you a little exercise, a little brain exercise to kind of put you in this mind frame. First of all, most of you guys, I would say the vast majority, 99%, are over the age of 18, right? So I want to go back to like the prehistoric era of man. Let's go back to the hunter gatherers era or the caveman era, however you want to call it, the ancient world, that is to say, before technology and agriculture. So go back a few thousand years. I don't know if y'all know this, but did you know that back in those days, the boys in the villages would learn how to hunt way before the age of 18? Way before. And they would have to become skilled hunter gatherers, killers, to make sure that their family unit and that the whole tribe survived. So just imagine being 15, 16, 17, throwing spears at animals and literally risking your life, because if you throw the spear and that animal moves and hits you or sees you or there's a herd or something, I mean, this is real tough stuff. Now imagine if you were to apply those skills to people who you know today between the age of like 14 through 18. They couldn't do it. 99% couldn't do it, myself included. I am not skilled enough to throw a spear and kill an elephant or a hippo. I've never done it before, never been taught how. So just imagine if you were told to equip yourself for being an adult during those few years, but that's the only way you were told. Well, some time went by, and when I say some time, I mean a lot of time. And we developed education, and we developed agriculture, we developed vehicles, etc., civilization as we know it today, and now you don't even have to leave your home to get food. We live in a world now where you don't have to leave your home to get food. It's crazy. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is this. The Speakdom is called You Only Need Yourself. Now, unfortunately, we're not taught to be our own hunter-gatherers, at least most of us aren't, that young or even after 18. But the way that the system is now is we go to school, and school is supposed to prepare you for the real world. Well, guess what? It really doesn't. It really doesn't. It's a combination of school, good parenting, and your own experiences that really prepare you to be out on your own. But you wouldn't believe how many people, especially dudes out there, are not out on their own yet. So here's why I'm even bringing this up. Because at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, you will be older. Some of you will be married and unmarried, but at some point in your life, both your parents are going to be gone. They're going to pass away. It happens. You will be on your own, and whether it means starting up a business, whether it means grooming yourself, or something as simple as learning how to drive a car, if you don't have a parental figure or somebody you can count on, you're going to have to learn it on your own. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people don't learn the necessary skills that they need to live before 18 or even after, like I said a minute ago. But one thing you have to remember, man, and this goes if you're going through a breakup, if you're going through a friendship fight, like, you end friendship with somebody, if you've been rejected by a school or a job, you can only count on you. You don't need anybody else. Do you want other people in your life to help you? Yes, but real quick you find out that the only person that you can count on 100% is you. This is something a lot of entrepreneurs learn early in life. Before you are able to hire cooks, managers, and people to take care of your business, whether it be, like I mentioned, cooks or people who clean, people who do things professionally, take calls, secretaries, whatever you're doing, you may have to do this on your own for a while. Me, for example, I am a small business owner, have a couple of contractors, and I do 95% of the work for my business on my own. I contract out for help. And I've been pretty happy. And I think many of you have already discovered this as you go through life. If you're in your 20s or even 30s, you probably already know this, that That friend that you thought you could count on that was always going to have your back may not always be there because they have their own problems. That girl that you thought you were going to marry in high school, it didn't happen, did it? Very rare. And if it did, I'm happy for you, but it's very rare. That life you thought you were going to have might not look exactly like how you pictured it. You may be there. I'm not saying that people aren't, but it may not look the way that you kind of want it to, and that's okay. You could never really 100% fulfill your dream. But one thing you'll realize is you can only count on yourself. You can only count on yourself to do the work. And when I say do the work, I mean that both when it comes to physical labor in order to make money to pay bills, and when it comes to your own mental self-development, personal development work. If you have to go to a therapist, you're going to that therapist by yourself. Your mom and dad are not going to take you there unless they were doing that when you were a kid because you have some real issue, like an anger management issue or something like that. They have a family therapist. Most of us don't have that. If you need to get something done, you may not know how to change the spark plugs in your car, but you're going to pay someone to do it, but you got to be the one to do it. The issue is so many people are so used to having others do things for them that we get to a point where let's just say that we reverse time and go back 10,000 years or whatever, however many thousand years it was, and we're back hunter-gatherers. How many of you can really go out there and comfortably gather food? Probably not that many, and that's not a bad thing. Nowadays, the modern equivalent, and there is no real equivalent, but the real equivalent of it is your own life and your own career and your own relationships. See, things have changed a lot for humanity, but one thing that has not changed is how we are hardwired when it comes to certain things. So some of you out there are going through a breakup and you're saying, oh, I need her in my life. You don't. You may think you need her because you may have some codependency issues. You may have just gone through it and you're feeling lonely. There's something there. I'm not saying you don't think you need her or him or whatever you're into, but you really don't. And you come to figure that out over time. That's why when you hear people say things like, oh, well, time heals all wounds. That's not always true, but when it comes to emotional scarring, a lot of it can definitely heal with time, or at the very least, you learn to control it. With time, these friendships, like I mentioned in the first Speak Them I did back, the toxic friends thing, you may miss your friends. Okay, you may want a friend to go out with, and that's fine. But once your friends become so toxic that you can't even be around them, it sometimes is better to just be alone, read a book, watch a movie by yourself, watch some Netflix, listen to one of my videos, whatever, read some books maybe, or take a nap. It's much better to do it on your own. You don't need anybody. If there were people thousands of years ago that were 15 starting tribes, you don't need anybody now. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I'm not really in the best shape like they were. I don't have the skills. You don't. That's fine. But you do have yourself. And if you've got 2 eyes, 2 arms, and 2 legs, and not everybody even has that, you can get stuff done. So this idea of needing help from the government or needing help from a politician or I need this girl, I need this friend in my life, you live enough years, you will come to learn that you don't need anyone. You may need your parents if you're a certain age, but imagine if you were let out to the wild when you were younger. Could you handle it? No, and again, that's fine, but a lot of you guys really have to take the bull by the horns in life and remember that at some point, it's nobody's fault but yours in the sense of you got to get stuff done. You got to be the one that has to want to go to school. You have to be the one to make the decision about what course of life you're going to take. Some of you guys are in your 30s not even knowing what you're going to do with your life, and that's fine. It starts getting scary when you're in your 40s and 50s and you're not sure, but people have come back from that. I think that by the time you're in your 30s, you should ideally already be in your career. If you're not, then you got to figure it out. Now, again, you're going to have people say, well, take your time. You can take your time if you're 18, man, but if you're 38, if you're 37, if you're 35, your time's running out. And you got to figure out what you want to do because the last thing you want to do is just be on your deathbed saying, I should have done this. So I know it's hard to hear sometimes, and I know that life is tough, but trust me when I tell you, you don't need anyone but yourself. And I think if you hammer that concept home, that you don't need anyone but you won't believe how much less pain you'll be in, because then you'll have less expectations from others. If you can lower your expectations, maybe not get rid of it all, because nobody can do that, but lower your expectations. If somebody else delivers a piece of work that's not up to your level, that's okay, because you can do it. You know, if you hire an editor, like for me, for example, I've had to hire an editor, and if something doesn't look quite right, I can go in there and make the change myself, or I can have him do it. Like things like that for my main channel, things like that, you know. So once you forget that whole I need her, I need him, I need they, I need them, I need my mom. Once you figure out that you don't need anybody but yourself, the whole world opens up to you. It's almost like when you get out of that early part of an RPG and you get the ship or the boat or however your travel vehicle is in the game, you get to explore more of the world. That's what happens when you get that mentality. So don't forget that, man. Take care, and I'll see you soon.